For months, I thought the distance between us was just life. Bills. Work. Exhaustion. You tell yourself things to avoid facing what your gut is already whispering. Emma, my wife of 7 years, had become colder, but not obviously so. No big fights. No late-night screaming. Just a series of small disappearances. Little silences where warmth used to live. She started coming home later, blaming deadlines. Smiling less, saying, "I'm just tired." I believed her, or rather, I wanted to. Until I noticed her laugh changed. It became lighter, more youthful, like someone else had access to a part of her I no longer touched. One night, I came home early from work, surprise pizza in hand, her favorite. Her car wasn't in the driveway, though she'd said she'd be working from home. I found her laptop still open on the kitchen table. I don't usually snoop. But that night, something in me, the same silent whisper that had been poking at my ribs for weeks, nudged harder. I opened the browser. There it was. A draft email, never sent, addressed to James. It began with, "I missed last night already." I didn't need to read more. But I did. I read every line. Each word cut deeper than the last. She described him as exciting, freeing, a secret escape. And me? A routine. A comfort zone she'd outgrown. My hands were cold. Not from shock, from clarity. She wasn't just cheating on me physically. She was erasing me, inch by inch, in someone else's arms. I didn't confront her that night. I closed the laptop, threw away the pizza, and sat in silence for hours. Because confronting her wouldn't change anything. She was already gone. But if she wanted freedom so badly, I decided I'd give it to her. In the loudest, most unforgettable way possible. I spent 2 weeks writing a letter. Not a rage-fueled rant. Not a pathetic cry for her to stay. No, this was precision. A carefully constructed retelling of our relationship. From the first time we met, to the subtle signs of decay, to the night I found the email. Every line soaked in painful honesty. But the last paragraph? That was the detonation switch. I revealed everything. Her affair, the lies, the dates, even the hotel receipts I quietly pulled from our shared cloud storage. All of it. And I didn't just write it for her. I addressed the letter to Emma. And CC'd her parents, her 2 closest friends, and her boss, James's wife. I sealed the letters in separate envelopes. No return address. Just one final sentence handwritten in red at the bottom. Secrets don't stay secrets forever. And on the morning of our anniversary, while she was getting ready for the dinner, she thought I'd forgotten. I mailed them. The fallout didn't erupt immediately. That's the thing about paper bombs. They take time to land. The letters arrived 2 days later, on a quiet Tuesday morning. I watched Emma get ready for work like nothing was wrong. She hummed to herself, kissed my cheek absently, and grabbed her travel mug. I watched her pull out of the driveway, her taillights glowing soft red in the mist. I didn't go to work that day. I stayed home. Phone on silent. Just waited. By noon, the first cracks appeared. My phone lit up with a call from her best friend, Cassie, the one she always confided in. I didn't answer. A few minutes later, a text came in. What the hell is going on? Then came her mother's number. Then James's wife, Melissa, whom I had never met, but had found through a little social media digging and verified by matching a last name in Emma's email thread. Then silence. For hours. At 3:41 p.m., the front door slammed open. Emma's heels clacked hard against the floor. Her voice was shrill, already cracking. "What did you do?" she shouted, holding the opened letter in her trembling hands. I stood from the kitchen table, where I'd been calmly drinking tea. "You told my mother? My boss's wife? Are you out of your mind?" "No," I said. I was out of patience. She threw the envelope down like it burned her fingers. "You embarrassed me. You humiliated me in front of everyone." I stared at her. "You embarrassed us when you crawled into another man's bed and called me your safety net." She flinched. Her face, always so composed, was blotched with panic. "It was just a phase." "No," I cut in quietly. "A phase ends. A pattern continues. You chose him more than once. You just never thought I'd find out, or have the spine to do anything about it." She started crying, not the silent, guilt-ridden tears of someone who regrets. These were angry tears. The kind people cry when their image gets shattered. When the mask falls and there's no one left to clap for their performance. I walked to the hallway and picked up the small suitcase I'd packed the night before. Don't worry. I won't drag this out. I just came back to see your reaction. Where are you going? She asked, voice shaking. I smiled softly. To live a life where I'm not someone's backup plan. That night, I stayed at a friend's place. Over the next week, I heard through the grapevine that James's wife had filed for separation. That Emma had been pulled from a big client project at work. That her mother wasn't speaking to her. And I didn't say a word. Because sometimes justice doesn't need a courtroom. It just needs the truth, delivered in an envelope. In the weeks that followed, I started piecing myself back together. Not by rushing into anything new, but by reclaiming everything she'd quietly taken from me. I went back to cooking dinner for one. Not because I had to, but because I wanted to remind myself how it felt to care for myself again. I spent weekends with old friends I had unintentionally distanced myself from. The ones who'd always asked, "You sure you're okay?" Even when I said I was. I joined a local boxing gym, not out of rage, but to feel strong again. In my body, in my breath, in my sense of control. Emma tried to reach out once. A long, guilt-soaked email that started with, "I never meant to hurt you," and ended with, "I hope someday you can forgive me." I didn't reply. Not because I wanted to be cruel, but because I had already closed that chapter with my letter. My forgiveness wasn't something she'd get in an inbox. It wasn't hers to ask for. It was mine to give, and I gave it to myself. James's wife, Melissa, sent a short message a month later. Just 3 words. "Thank you. Sincerely." I didn't reply to that either. I didn't need to. We were strangers bonded by betrayal. And now, by freedom. I hoped she found peace too. Sometimes, late at night, I still think about the moment I dropped those letters into the mailbox. The sound of them sliding in. The finality. I remember standing there for a few seconds longer than I needed to, staring at the small red flag raised on the side of the box. That red flag was the most symbolic thing I'd seen in years. Emma always thought secrets were her power. That if she just smiled enough, acted sweet enough, kept her mess compartmentalized, she'd never face the consequences. But lies rot in silence. And I gave them a voice. Now I live in a smaller place. Not as fancy, not as curated, but mine. Authentically mine. The air feels lighter here. I keep a small note pinned above my desk that simply says, "The truth is enough." That's all it took to change everything. People often ask what revenge looks like. For me, it wasn't loud. It wasn't screaming or smashing plates. It was one letter. 17 sentences. 5 recipients. And a man who stopped waiting for someone else to value him. I don't hate her anymore. She's already punished enough. By her own reflection, by the silence of friends who no longer trust her, by the discomfort of knowing she never truly got away with it. And me? I sleep just fine now.